Proportions. A ratio is a comparison of two numbers by division. A proportion is an equation stating that two ratios are equal to each other. In a proportion, the cross products are also equal to each other. If a proportion contains a variable, you can cross multiply in order to solve for the variable. When you set the cross products equal, you create a linear equation, which we have already learned how to solve. So you can use that to solve any proportion. Let's do some examples of proportions. So we have 16 over p equals 24 over 12.9. So what we're going to do is we're going to cross multiply. So that means we have 24p equals 16 times 12.9. So this is a linear equation. So I'm just going to solve here. So I have 24p equals 16 times 12.9 is actually 206.4, which obviously type that in your calculator and you can see that. Divide by 24. This is just a linear equation, so we're just going to solve for the variable. So divide by 24. And we have p equals 206.4 divided by 24. Type it in the calculator, you should get 8.6. So that is your solved proportion. Next one. A little bit more difficult because we have x's and not just one, there's two of them. So it's going to be a little bit more work once we do the cross multiplication. So we're going to cross multiply here, and we have 7 times negative x plus 5 equals negative 2 times 3 plus 2x. Make sure you put the parentheses around these so that you remember to distribute, because distribution here is going to be essential. So that's my next step, solving this linear problem here. So I have negative 7x plus 35 equals negative 6x, negative 6 minus 4x. There we go. Now I'm just going to put my x's together, so I'm going to add 7x. And I have 35 equals negative 6 plus 3x. So I'm going to add 6. And then I'm going to add straight down and get 41 equals a 3x. So divide by 3. So my final answer would be x equals 41 over 3. And that would just be it. Just leave it like that. A type of problem that uses proportions would be percent problems. Because a percent can be expressed as a ratio, you can use the following proportion to solve any percent problem. Just take the percentage over 100, and that's going to equal whatever the smaller part is over the entire thing, the whole group. So let's do an example of that. A poll taken one day before an election showed that 22.5% of the voters plan to vote for a certain candidate. If 1,800 voters participated in the poll, how many indicated that they plan to vote for that candidate? Okay, so my percentage, percent over 100, so 22.5% over 100%. So what we have here is, we can then eliminate the percentages. Okay, so now over the part would be the thing we don't know, because we know that 1,800 in total voted. So there's 1,800 voters, and the part is, we don't know, x. So now we're going to cross multiply, and we're going to have 100 times x equals 22.5 times 1,800. So that's going to be 100x equals 40,500. if you type that in the calculator, and then we divide by 100 to solve for x. So x equals 405. So again, type it in the calculator. So what does this mean? It means 405 voters voted for that person. And that would be your final answer. A rate is also a ratio that just involves different units. The important thing to remember when setting up a rate as a ratio is to keep the common units on the same side of the fraction bar. So if I were to solve this next problem, Ryan ran 600 meters and counted 482 strides. How long is Ryan's stride in inches? And we have a hint, 1 meter is equal to about 39.37 inches. So this is a two-step problem here. We start by figuring out how many meters is in one stride, and then we can go in and find inches. So first step is to write 600 meters in 482 strides. All right, and that's going to be equal to how many meters in one stride. All right, so I solve my proportion here. So I have 600 times 1, 600 meters times 1 stride equals x meters times 482 strides. So I'm going to divide by 482. And if I type that into my calculator, I get x equals about 1.35 meters per stride. So that's my first step. My next step is to find how long it is in inches. So I'm going to convert these meters to inches. So what I would have would be 1 meter is 39.37 inches, because that's what we want to convert to, and we know that 1.35 meters is in one stride, so that's how many meters it is, and we need to find how many inches it is. So we do the same thing. So this gives us y equals 39.37 inches times 1.35. All right, and then y, type that into the calculator, you would get 48.82 roughly, and that would be how many inches is left. Final answer. Those are your notes over proportions. Go through the practice problems, make sure you can solve proportions with no troubles, and then go on to the next video. There is no actual quiz over this video, but the next quiz may have some problems where you can solve proportions, because we just did several word problems that required proportions, and that may be on the quiz that you take after the next video.